Hello, and thank you for joining us today for OpenRN Student Outcomes and Sustainability Strategies. My name is Vince Mussehl. I'm the Library Director and OpenRN Project Librarian at Chippewa Valley Technical College. And with me today is Kim Ernstmeyer, the Project Director for the OpenRN project.
Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm going to just start by giving an overview of the OpenRN project, and then we'll talk more about the different outcomes we've seen and sustainability strategies as we go forward. So the OpenRN project was funded by a $2.5 million Department of Education grant. Started back in 2019 with 5 OER textbooks as the deliverables. We're up to 9 right now that we're working on with additional funding that's happened. And we're impacting over 3 million international users of the online books with 10 million page views. I'll talk about that here in a second. We're also creating 25 virtual simulations in H5P and 25 open RN virtual reality scenario plans that can be used with VR or other types of simulation environments. So to achieve these deliverables, we've had over 65 contributors, nursing faculty and registered nurses across Wisconsin, and over 300 reviewers from across the country participate in the peer review process as each book is published. So far, over 60 colleges across the United States and Canada have adopted the print versions of the OpenRN textbooks. They're also currently being uploaded to the National Library of Medicine bookshelf and then online, as we talked about earlier. We project that there'll be over $1.5 million savings in Wisconsin technical college system students alone, and then just even more so across the country. Vince will talk a little bit more about his OER 101 course here in a few minutes, and we've had over 250 faculty and administrators complete that course to learn more about OER. And I'll be sharing information more about the student outcomes here in a second. So this is our current usage slide from Google Analytics. We're up to 4 million users this month and almost 10 million page views. If you go to the next slide, we can see the impact it's had internationally. So about 44% of those users are in the United States. Otherwise, the Philippines, India, Canada, and Australia fill out the top 5. So really exciting to see how this nursing content is being used internationally. Here's a list of all the different colleges and universities that have adopted the print versions. The print versions are produced by Xanadu, a publishing company that we work with, and they are sold at affordable rates that college bookstores can order, or students can also purchase them through Amazon. If we go to the next slide, you can see since our first book, Nursing Pharmacology, was published back in 2020, you can see the number of students within the Wisconsin Technical College system who've been impacted. So just a little bit more about the system. There's 16 standalone colleges in the Wisconsin Technical College system. Each has their own accredited nursing program, and then course sections within that program decide whether to adopt the OER materials. And so it's been great to see this continue to go upwards, and we are anticipating even higher numbers for 2023, 2024. And so far, this has saved Wisconsin students just over $1.3 million. So great to see that data. When we look at student outcomes, this slide was from the very first textbook, the Nursing Pharmacology textbook. That was the first book that we published in 2020. And you can see, if you look at the very top line, the blue line, 75.7%, is the benchmark that our institutional research department calculated as the average course grade for students across those 16 colleges that I just talked about. The green line refers to the sections that adopted OER. And you can see that from the time that the first book was published in 2020 through 2021, there was a 5% higher student success rate in that course alone. And we were really excited to see that, because pharmacology is one of those traditional type of gateway courses that by having increased student success, there's more students that stay on the path to complete the nursing program. And we think that's because the content is completely aligned with the state curriculum that we use, along with active learning activities that are sprinkled throughout all the chapters in the textbook that help them practice that content and apply it to students, to patient simulation. I also want to mention, since then, we are continue to analyze data, and we've seen similar course completion and successful course completion rates when you compare OER sections to non-OER sections across the Wisconsin Technical College system, which is really good when you consider the amount of money that we've saved. But even more exciting, we see a 2% higher successful course completion rate for non-white student populations in those OER sections. So when you talk about using OER as an equity strategy, OpenRN, the data from that continues to support that, that hypothesis. So that's great. We also have a survey that we incorporate within the textbooks we provide to instructors, and we just ask students and faculty to rate the OpenRN textbooks in terms of quality, cost, ease of use, helpfulness of learning activities, evidence-based practices, navigating to other valid, credible sources of information, and then assisting in helping students learn to apply that content to patient care. And as you look down the slide here, near the bottom is the OER textbook is much better, better, or the same. And so you can see over 92% of respondents have rated the OpenRN textbooks as the same, better, or much better in all of these categories. So in fact, most students prefer the OpenRN textbooks because of those online activities they can participate in. We've started in the past year, really since November of 2022, using generative artificial intelligence to create those virtual simulations that I was talking about. So on the next slide, you can see we're using various AI platforms to create generative text, generative images, generative voice, and generative video. And so on our next slide, you can see the patients that we've created and the nursing staff. And we're able to create a very diverse population of patients, along with any language barriers that they might have that nursing students need to learn how to overcome those barriers and incorporate the cultural responsive care that they need to. So we're continuing to develop those virtual simulations as we create more and more. And then finally, I want to just celebrate, we were able to publish an article in Nursing Education Perspectives this fall called Adopting OER as an Equity Strategy. Just outlines everything I've talked about so far in this presentation in terms of usage and those student outcomes. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's participated as a contributor and a peer reviewer for helping make this happen. So now Vince is going to share some information about sustainability.
Yeah, so Kim talked a little bit about OpenRN project and kind of where the future might go with that here. I'd like to talk a little bit about the state in general. So Wisconsin recently passed funding for $3 million for the Wisconsin Technical College system to kind of scale up OER. Now we'll be leading the creation of these different materials from different colleges. So if there's 16 colleges participating and creating new content, CVTC will be helping to lead these projects. So some of the materials that we will be creating, nursing health promotions, which will be used in the first year of the associate degree nursing program and the practical nursing program. It's also referred to as the maternal child nursing text. We're also working on other projects outside of nursing, including respiratory therapy, early childhood, blueprint reading, and there's even some technology courses in the works as well. So we're hoping that long-term this funding will be able to help sustain some of these projects that the institutions can't do on an individual basis. Additionally, we've received grant funding from a variety of different grants, most notably the Department of Labor EduStat grant, in which we'll use to create or update a medical terminology textbook that'll be consistent with our OpenRN texts. And also telepresence virtual simulations. So the scaling of the OpenRN project and OER across our system has really kind of created inspiration at the Technical College in Eau Claire here. So we've seen just last year in 2022, 2023, over $3 million in student savings by them using OER. Over 9,000 students were enrolled in an OER AER course. And then we've had 593 unique courses and over 1,900 sections that have used OER AER. So this is our first year where we've seen more students enrolled in an OER course than are enrolled in a traditional purchase course text course. So the average student savings of students using OER is $341, and 42% of CBTC courses now use OER or affordable resources. So a project of this size and scope, and to get everyone on board across the state, we do provide a training opportunity referred to as OER 101. And really, this kind of just gets into the very basics of OER, including the who, what, where, when, why, and how. At a very basic level, it's a 10 to 15-hour course delivered online asynchronously. It's free for Wisconsin Technical College participants and anyone interested in learning more about OER. And really, we've had some great reviews from faculty and administrators that have participated. They come in the course kind of nervous and scared, and then they often leave inspired with an action plan that they take with them to kind of get started in the OER world. If you're interested in registering, there is one more session coming up in January, so feel free to put your name in. So after the OER 101 training, faculty and administrators needed a way to continue this conversation of OER. So we know that the OER 101 for most faculty is a one and done, but they really wanted a way to kind of keep talking about it or keep the momentum going. So in response, the Wisconsin Technical College System developed the Open Education Symposium that's held each October. And this is a free virtual one-day conference where faculty and administrators come together to talk OER strategy and share their successes and learn from one another. And we also have great participation from those outside of Wisconsin as well that want to learn more about what we're doing and maybe share some of techniques that they use. So that concludes our talk today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to visit our website. You'll see that we have contact information available. You can also sign up to receive quarterly grant updates and learn more about upcoming products coming out. Thanks for joining us today, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.